Hello everybody, my name is Elena Cordova.
And my name is Carter Schneider, and it is the 21st of September, and this week on Mid-Pacific News, we will inform you about the European migrant crisis. Today I will be talking to you about what the EU is doing to inhibit the migrant crisis in Hungary.
And I will be sharing with you the dangerous conditions and hatred that the refugees face while trying to seek asylum.
In early September, Hungary leaves many refugees stranded as they close its Serbia-Hungary borders to asylum seekers using a razor wire fence. The closing of the border aims to stop migrants who want to enter the European Union. Right next to the border, refugees and migrants search in desperation for ways into Hungary. A group began a protest in which they sat on the road and threw their bottles of water and loaves of bread into a pile, claiming that they do not want food or water until they cross the border. Hungary declared a state of emergency in 2 counties as the new laws came into force. Anyone who crosses the border illegally will face charges, and 30 judges have been put on standby to try offenders. It is a criminal offense, punishable by prison or deportation, to damage the newly built 13-foot razor wire fence along Hungary's 110-mile border with Serbia. Here we can see the registration centers that police buses will now be taking asylum applicants from, but if their applications are refused, they will be returned to Serbia rather than be given passage through Hungary. These new laws make it much harder for refugees to seek a safe place to live. A course concept that this event links to is power. Power is having the ability to affect change. The changes that are being made are the laws that make it much more difficult for asylum seekers to live safely. The European Union is misusing its power to create a solution to the migrant crisis that is not in the favor of the refugees. The EU's border agency says more than 500,000 migrants have arrived at the EU's border this year, compared with 280,000 in 2014. The vast majority have come by boat across the Mediterranean. Back to Elena with more news about crossing the Mediterranean.
Thousands of refugees flee their home countries in search for a better life in Europe. On September 25th, a 5-year-old Syrian girl, Hanan al-Jawan, was found unconscious on the beach. Hanan was one of 24 people trying to reach Lesbos on an inflatable boat, which sank off the coast of the Greek island of Lesbos. She and her family fled from the Syrian town of Salahaya, which is controlled by ISIS. Not only did Hanan lose her life from the poor conditions of seeking asylum in Europe, but 13 other people from the same inflatable boat were believed to have drowned as well. 2,600 migrants died while crossing the Mediterranean Sea. The countries involved with aiding these efforts to provide a safe haven for refugees failed to consider the lack of efficient means of transport. Poor conditions violate fundamental human rights, which is another course concept. By overlooking the amount of deaths, we fail to consider the right to life and prosperity. Another important course concept that correlates with this event is justice. Justice is the idea of fairness. The individuals get what they deserve. In this event, I would like to point out the lack of justice that the refugees have. The asylum seekers do not deserve the loss of friends, family, or their own lives for simply seeking a safe place to live. On Monday, September 14th, thousands of protesters have gathered in several Polish cities to rally against the Polish government's recent decision to resettle 2,000 Muslim refugees from Syria and North Africa by 2017. More than 10,000 protesters assembled on the streets of Warsaw, clutching the national flag and chanting anti-Islamic slogans such as "Today's refugees, tomorrow's terrorists," and "Poland free of Islam." Though the words they chanted are hateful, the protest was not violent. As part of the proposed quota system, the European Union leaders have suggested that Poland should accept 12,000 refugees. Elsewhere in Warsaw, pro-refugee protesters showed their support by playing music and holding banners with encouraging slogans on them such as "Refugees welcome" and "No one is illegal." The course concepts that relate to this event are human rights and conflict. Human rights are the entitlements that one should be able to exercise by simply being a human being. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration, without distinction of any kind. This includes religion. The Muslim refugees are being distinctly rejected by the Polish protesters because of the religion that they practice. Another concept that this event relates to is conflict. Conflict is the opposition between individual groups in this case, the opposition between the Polish protesters and the Muslim refugees.
As you're watching this, the migrant crisis is still very relevant. The increasing number of migrants and refugees seeking asylum in the European Union has steadily risen since 2011 and has just recently started to rapidly increase since 2014. The migrant crisis has caused laws to be made to further inhibit refugees from seeking safety, taken the lives of many on the trips from homeland to the European Union, and brought attention to the political views and their feelings towards the refugees from certain countries. The migrant crisis teaches us about human rights, power, justice, and conflict that is relevant today in Northern Europe.
One solution to the migrant crisis could be housing units for refugees and refugee centers for displaced persons. Thank you for watching Mid-Pacific News.